The bullish tendencies for US stock market seems to have eased as the price action of major indexes has stabilized somewhat and are sending out mixed signals. It's characteristic that in the past week, Dow Jones, Nasdaq and S&P 500 were all in the greens, yet since Monday, Dow Jones is still rising, Nasdaq is correcting lower, and S&P 500 remains relatively unchanged. The main issue today seems to be the release of NVIDIA's earnings report, an issue that we have discussed in last week's report, but nevertheless, we are to add a technical analysis of the share's 1-hour chart. Also, we are to discuss fundamental challenges ahead for US stock markets, as well as financial releases and Apple, which reached the headlines today. We may see US stock markets' bullishness being somewhat saturated in the coming days unless the hopes for an extensive easing of financial conditions in the US economy are enhanced. Please note that we have some Fed policymakers which are scheduled to speak in the following days and could sway the market's opinion for the bank's intentions. On coming Friday, we highlight the release of July's core and headline PCE price index rates. The release gains on attention as the rate is the Fed's favorite measure and is considered as a key test for the US economy, along with CPI rates and the US employment report of each month. The core rate is expected to tick up and reach the 2.7% year-on-year if compared to June's 2.6% year-on-year. Should the rate accelerate as forecasted, it would signal a persistence of inflationary pressures in the US economy that may force the market adjust its overly dovish expectations regarding the Federal Reserve's intentions, potentially putting downward pressure on US stock market. On the flip side, we have to note that Fed Chairman Powell, in his speech at the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, mentioned the shift in the bank's attention from curbing inflationary pressures on the weakening of US labor market, which in turn could lower the impact of the release. Apple's share price seems to be edging higher over the past few days. Please note that the company is to have the 2024 Apple event on the 9th of September, when the company is expected to debut the first generative AI iPhone, yet we are to discuss that issue in next week's release. In the current report, we note that Apple announced that Chief Financial Officer Luca Maestri will transition from his role on January 1, 2025. It should also be noted that the company proceeded with layoffs of around 100 people in the digital services group. The step was characterized as rare. Layoffs are considered unusual in Apple, despite the fact that the company has made cuts, especially in the self-driving car section. The layoffs tend to signal a shift in the company's priorities, and we tend to view the situation as possibly beneficial for the company's share price, given that the recent developments tend to clear up the situation in the company further, especially for its intentions, and could provide a boost to investors' confidence in the company's prospects. In the bigger picture, we note that the problems of the company regarding its sales in China, which may weigh on its share price. Yet on the flip side, market expectations for the company's AI prospects seems to be great and tend to offset any market worries for the revenue figure for now. On a technical level, NVIDIA's share price has been moving in a sideways manner between the 131.15 resistance line and the 123.0 support level since the 16th of August. We tend to maintain our bias for the sideways motion between the pre-mentioned levels to continue for the time being. It's characteristic that the Bollinger Bands have narrowed, signaling an easing of volatility for the share price, which could allow the range-bound motion to be maintained. Similar signals are also being sent by the RSI indicator, which seems to be flattening just above the reading of 50, implying a relative indecisiveness on behalf of market participants for the direction of the share price next leg. Yet the release of NVIDIA's earnings report may alter the direction of the share price. For a bullish outlook, we would require NVIDIA's share price to breach the 131.15 resistance line clearly and start aiming, if not breaching, also the 135.85 resistance base. Should the bears take over, we may see the share's price action breaking the 123.0 support line, with the next possible target for the bears being the 118.50 level. Thanks for tuning in to our financial news. From all of us here at Iron